Hello, and welcome to the third video lesson in this unit, supporting low English proficiency students in mixed level classes. In this lesson, I'm going to talk about the strategy Provide Modeling. It's me again, David Patent. And this is a famous painting called Nighthawks by the American artist Edward Hopper. I'm a big fan of using artwork in the classroom because it can be a great way to get students talking and writing. In an intermediate level class, for example, I could have students discuss what they see in a painting using a simple graphic organizer. Students use the organizer to discuss and make note of what they see in the painting, what they think about the painting, and what they wonder about the painting in groups, and then share their ideas in a class discussion. However, this type of open-ended activity might be challenging for LEPs in an intermediate level class. They are likely to find it challenging to generate the language needed to participate effectively. Providing LEPs with modeling is an important way to help them participate in both individual and group tasks and projects. I'm going to discuss two ways to support LEPs using modeling. The first method is to provide language frames. Language frames are a useful way to provide additional support to learners when they need to perform in English. Let's compare the graphic organizer we just looked at to a language frame. The graphic organizer will certainly help learners to organize their ideas about the painting, but it does little to support their use of language structures. A language frame for this activity, however, can help them to have a conversation with their peers and comment on the painting. The first set of language frames in this task provides question prompts that LEPs can use as entry points into discussion with their peers. The second set of frames provides a sample sentence using each verb, and then a place for learners to state or write what they see, think, or wonder. When using language frames, it might also be necessary to model how the frames can be used, perhaps by having a quick conversation using the frames with a student in the class who is a high or medium English proficiency speaker. Frames are also useful for providing feedback. As you listen to students discuss the painting using the frames, you might point out the grammatical differences between using the three verbs, see, think, and wonder. The use of language frames like this one can provide the kind of support that LEPs need when they are expected to produce language. Modeling can also be used to help students with receptive skills, such as reading. The Think Aloud method, for example, is a great way to model reading strategies at any level of instruction. A Think Aloud involves reading a text aloud and pausing to explain what you are thinking as you read. You can model all kinds of reading strategies when doing a Think Aloud, such as figuring out vocabulary and context or paraphrasing information. Let's take a passage by an art critic about Hopper's Nighthawks as an example. Start by making sure that everyone in the class can see the text you are reading. Start reading and then pause for your first Think Aloud statement. For example, I can read the first sentence of the text. What many people do not know is that Nighthawks was Hopper's response to one of the greatest crises of his generation, the entrance of the United States into World War II. Then I can pause and try to figure out the meaning of a word in context, such as crises, saying, I guess that crises are serious or stressful events because the author indicates that the entrance of the US into World War II was an example of this. I can then go on to read the next few sentences. Fearing attack by the Nazis, New Yorkers were subject to blackout drills and dimmed lights in public spaces. Hopper's walks were thus taken around a city literally and figuratively darkened by crisis. He later recalled how this darkness inspired Nighthawks and imagined what it would be like to come across a brightly lit diner in the middle of the night with people, the Nighthawks, within. Then I can pause and try to paraphrase the information. I think this means that because of the war, New York City had to prepare for an attack. So there were blackouts, times when there was limited electricity, when almost everything was dark. In the painting, Hopper was showing what a restaurant might look like during this dark and stressful time. Figuring out the meaning of words in context and paraphrasing information are both reading strategies. A Think Aloud can be useful for modeling reading strategies for any student, but especially for LEPs. Hearing you read the text and understanding your thinking process as you read can support their understanding and make the text more manageable for them. If you think about it, providing modeling is the most basic form of instruction. It's one of the main ways that children learn from elders. However, it's easy to forget how important it is for learning in the classroom. I've mentioned a few ways that you can help LEPs through modeling. I'm sure you can think of other methods, maybe ones you've used in the classroom. English language teachers use all kinds of modeling techniques, but it is especially important to remember to provide modeling for LEPs. Otherwise, they might find it difficult to participate and, as a result, they may feel excluded from the class. Now it's time to show that you've remembered information about the strategy by completing the quiz for video lesson 3. Don't worry, you'll be able to review information from the video while you're taking the quiz. When you're done with the quiz, go on to video lesson 4.